super pleased to have with us now Congressman Michael Guest, calling in from Washington. Congressman, thanks for joining us.
Gerard, good talking to you. Sorry, I know we tried last week several times to be able to speak and weren't able to make the timing work. So thank you for your patience and appreciate you having me on today.
You bet. We appreciate you calling in. So we got us a new speaker, Speaker
We
Johnson.
do.
Yep. What do you think? And did you see that coming?
I did not see that coming until I guess we were into the after Jim Jordan pulled out. And when you had Tom Emmer and Mike kind of as the leading two of that next group of people, that's really where I really saw Mike begin to surface as a legitimate candidate. We kind of had to go through, if you will, the next in line, Steve Scalise, Jim Jordan, Tom Emmer, and when none of those three candidates were able to get to 217, it did become clear to many of us that Mike was most likely going to be the next man up. You know, one of the things I think that worked in Mike's favor is though he is in leadership, he's not at a high level of leadership within the conference. And then Mike really doesn't have any political enemies that I'm aware of in Washington, which is extremely rare. Most everyone up here has at least half a dozen people or more that probably don't like them and would like to see them not succeed. And Mike's not like that. He is a very humble, God-fearing man, someone who is a constitutional scholar, having worked previously as an attorney, dealing with a lot of First Amendment issues. And I think he's uniquely has a unique skill set that is much needed right now in our nation's capital.
Yeah. Well, at a minimum, we're back to work, right, Congressman, because we've been out of business for about 3 weeks now.
That's exactly right. So we were out of business for about 22 days, unable to move legislation after Mike was elected yesterday. First thing he brought to the floor was the resolution supporting Israel and condemning Hamas. That passed overwhelmingly. There were a handful of Democrats and I think one Republican, Thomas Massey, who did not support that. But that passed as we expected that it would. And then today we're back on the floor debating and voting on amendments to one of our appropriations bills, the energy and water bill. And so I just left the floor after 18 amendment votes that we were able to work through in about an hour and a half. We expect to come back for a second round of votes this afternoon or this evening. And then if all goes well, I hope to be able to take the late direct American flight home and sleep in my bed tonight. I'll be about 11 o'clock getting home, but it'll be nice to be home and
Absolutely.
maybe get a chance to see you tomorrow at coffee at Larry Swale's office.
Yeah, and of course, I think you might be headed to the game in Oxford on Saturday. Is that what I hear? I saw Haley the other night. Yeah, so
I am. So
come by and see
excited about getting to Oxford for the Ole Miss Vandy game. And I get a chance to see my oldest son who's in school up there.
Absolutely.
And then the following week I'll be in Starkville for State Kentucky. So it would be nice to be home and get to take in some college football. The weather's finally getting to be football weather.
Yeah.
So looking forward to enjoying both those weekends.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, so Representative Johnson, the Speaker now, the hard work begins. He may have the toughest job in Washington, honestly. It's not easy, the various things on the table that have to be addressed. Of course, first and foremost, we got to appropriate some money because we're going to run out in a little less than a month now, middle of November, is how much funding is included in the resolution that was passed, which honestly was the catalyst for all this chaos in the House. My concern, Congressman, is that we're going to come away with arguably a spending level that's probably similar to what we have, even though I agree we should pursue regular order. That ought to be the way the House conducts its business, and that means passing 12 separate bills that fund the various categories of discretionary spending. But Speaker McCarthy put a resolution on the table that cut the non-defense portion significantly, $250 billion. Chuck Schumer said it's DOA in the Senate. How are we going to get anything done that we can get through the Senate?
Well, you're exactly right. First and foremost, that Speaker Johnson's plate is full. You mentioned the fact that we're just outside of 3 weeks of government funding running out. We have passed in the House 4 of the 12 appropriations bills, a 5th that we're going through amendments and may be able to pass that energy and water appropriations bill out of the House either today or early next week. But unfortunately, the Senate has passed none of those. So even once we get to the point to where we've passed the large majority of our appropriations bills, as you know, and many of your listeners know, that the House and the Senate then have to marry their versions together in conference and come up with something that, as you mentioned, could pass the House and Senate. In addition to those 2 major spending priorities that we have to move forward on, we know internationally we've seen the events that have happened in the Middle East. There's going to be, at some point, an aid package for Israel. We see that this administration wants to tie that Israeli aid with additional aid to the Ukraine, as well as aid to Taiwan, and additional funding for the southern border. I believe the total cost is $106 billion, and $60 billion of that would be going directly to Ukraine. So over half of that spending bill would be going to Ukraine. I think 14 to 15 billion would be earmarked for Israel and for their defense. And so that's something that we're going to have to take up as a Congress. I'm hopeful, and I believe many people on the Republican side want to see those support bills broken out individually, that we should not be forced to vote on one omnibus spending bill to support Israel and to support Ukraine and Taiwan, but each of those should be broken into individual votes. We also have things that we have to do between now and the end of the year. We have to pass the National Defense Authorization Act. We've got to pass FAA reauthorization, Farm Bill, flood insurance, FISA. I mean, we have a multitude of really major issues that are on our plate that we need to be able to address between now and the end of the year. And I don't know that we can get to all of them, but hopefully that we can make progress on many of those. And so this speaker really has a long to-do list as he's trying to put together his staff, trying to put together the calendar for the rest of the year. So Speaker Johnson may have the hardest job for sure in Washington, D.C., because he's got a lot to do without a lot of time to get the work done in.
Do you feel like he can effectively, I guess, gain some degree of control and just exert some influence over the conference? It seems pretty fragmented right now.
I'm optimistic in the fact that every Republican on the House floor yesterday voted for Mike Johnson.
Yeah.
That's something that we've not seen this Congress. When Speaker McCarthy ran, it took 15 rounds on the floor. We know that Steve Scalise pulled out of the race because he didn't have the floor votes, that Jordan was unable to get the votes on the floor. Tom Emmer pulled out because he was not going to be able to get the votes. And so I think that what we see with Mike is he is a person that the entire conference can rally behind. Again, he has a very difficult job because while we're all Republicans, we come from different parts of the country. We have some of us are more conservative than others, and so he's going to have to balance the very conservative districts like mine and Trent Kelly and Mike Ezell, with some of the more moderate districts, say in New York or California.
Yeah.
And so, but I do think he has a skill set that he will be able to unite the party together.
Well, I'm glad we got somebody in place so we can start doing work. That's the most important thing. And I maybe the entire ordeal, Congressman, we got 30 seconds or so left. Maybe it'll unite folks, and we'll focus on getting work done and maybe less on personalities.
I hope so. And again, Mike is a humble, godly man, and I think that he is well designed to lead our party during this time. And I hope, and I'm going to work hard to see that he's successful.
Appreciate you calling in as always, and look forward to seeing you over the weekend.
Good deal. Thank you, my friend. Have a great day.
You too. That's Congressman Michael Guest. We're coming right back.